welcome back to Stylish Nigeria YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for your love, for your support. If you are new to the channel, you're welcome. If you have not subscribed, please, I would appreciate for you to hit on the subscribe button. Okay guys, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you 5 basic steps to cut and sew a female trouser with a zipper fly and 2 front pockets. So that's what we're going to learn how to do today. For those of you that don't know how to cut and sew a trouser that have a zipper fly, it is a very simple process. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. If you are new to the channel, you're welcome. Please, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. And if you have not subscribed to my channel already, please, I would appreciate for you to hit on the subscribe button. And then if you want to register for my online class, you can just see my number scrolling through the screen. Send me a message on WhatsApp. Let's get started straight into our tutorial for today. Okay guys, so this is the fabric that I'm going to be making use of. It's a crepe fabric. It's a strong crepe. It's a little bit stiff. Okay. And then the measurements that I'm going to be making use of, my hip measurement is 44. So I'll divide 44 into 4. I have 11. And then my thigh measurement, that's the thigh, how wide I want. Since it is a straight trouser, I'm going to be using 20 inches. So I'll divide that into 2. I'm going to have 10 inches. And then my crouch measurement, what I'm going to do for me to get the crouch measurement, I'm going to use my hip measurement, divide by 4. So when I divide my hip measurement into 4, I'm going to have 11. Now add 3 inches to it. You can add 2 inches to it. So I'm going to have 13. So 13 is going to be the crotch that I'm going to use for this. So this pattern, I've tried it out a million times and it has worked perfectly well for me. And then the full length of my trouser, of my female trouser, is 43. So these are all of the dimensions that I'm going to be making use of. So the next thing is all of the steps. So as I go along, I'm going to read the step and then we apply them. So I'm going to fold the fabric now, and then we'll take out the first step, which is marking all of our lines and adding all our measurements to it. Okay guys, so I have all of my lines here already, which I'm going to explain. So the first step that we're going to be making is mark all of our lines and add our measurements. So the lines that I have here, which I'm going to explain. So by the way, I'm making use of 2 yards of fabric. This fabric is actually 2 yards. Okay. So the first line I have here is my waistline. So you can see it. I just marked the random line for my waistline, and then I'm going to add a band of about 2 inches to it. So that's where my measurements are going to start from. So I'll just like take out the 2 inches. And then the next measurement I have here is my hip line, which is 10 inches. That's from the waist to the hip is 10 inches, which is normally what we normally use for our hip, even when we're making skirts. And then the next line that I have here is my crouch measurement, just like I explained. Divide my hip into 4, add 3 inches, 2 or 3 inches to it. So for this, I'm adding about 2 inches to it. Okay, so I have that. And then the next line that I have here is my knee measurement, which is not really necessary for this, just to give it a little bit of shape. And then the full length is 45 inches. So these are all of the lines that we have here. So the next thing, we're going to start adding our measurements. So I'm going to come from this part, this waist part. I'll just mark about half of an inch. So this half of an inch is just to like give it a shape, like help me to shape on it. Okay, so from that part, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to curve this into my hip line, like you know the way we normally curve our hip. Okay, so I'll curve it into the hip line like this. And then on the knee line, I'm just going to, since it is a straight trouser, I really don't want any, so I want it really straight. So I just came in from the knee line, I came in by 1 inch, and then I'm just going to connect it straight like this, so you can see. So I'm adding all of these lines, and then that same 1 inch, I'll come to the full length. I'll come in also by that same 1 inch, and then I'll just connect it with a straight ruler, because it is a straight trouser. So that is why we're doing this. Okay, so I've connected it. So now the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to start adding all of the measurements. We're still on our first step. We have not gone to the second step. So in adding all of our measurements, the waist measurement that I'm using for this trouser, this female trouser or female pant is 34. So you divide 34 into 4. I'm going to have 8.5. So I'll come to this point here. I'll mark my 8.5 here. So I have 8.5. So I'll mark my 8.5 here, and then I'm going to add allowance to it. So the allowance that I'm going to add, I'll add about 1.5 inch allowance or 1 inch allowance to it. So I'll add just 1 inch. 1 inch is okay. Allowance to it. So for this trouser, I'm not going to be adding a dart because the fabric is stretchy, so you can see. So I don't want to add a dart to it. I just want it really smooth and straight. So you can add a dart. If you want to add a dart, just add your dart intake there. So on my hip line, so this is my hip line, and then this is my thigh line, and then this is my knee. Okay, so on my hip line, this is the hip line. On the hip line is where I'm going to add my hip measurement. So like I said, my hip is 44, divide by 4. I have 11 inches. So I'm going to come here. I'll mark my 11 inches here like this. And then I'm going to add my allowance. So I'll add 2 inches allowance. Okay, I can add 1.5 inches allowance, which is okay. I think I'll do 1.5. 1.5 is okay. I'll add it like that. Okay, so the next measurement that I'm going to mark now, I'm going to mark my lap measurement. So my lap measurement, like I said, which is thigh, is 20 inches. That's how round. So I'll divide by 2. I'm going to have 10 inches. So that's this one you're dividing by 2. So I'm going to come to this line here, which is my thigh line. I'll mark the 10 inches here like this, okay? After marking the 10 inches here, I'm going to mark my allowance. So I'll mark my allowance. So for the thigh part, I'm going to add just about 2 inches allowance to it. So all of these lines, I'm going to connect all of them together again. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've carved it out. So it was getting a little bit difficult for me. So the next thing, I'm going to measure what I have here because I want my lap and my thighs. I want everything to be the same. So I'll place it here. And then I'm going to mark it with a straight curve like this. So the next thing I'm going to, on the down part also, so it is straight like I said. So I'm taking the same straightness. I'm taking it to the down part of my pants also, of my trouser. And then I'll mark it straight. So I'm not really adding any shape to it. I just want it straight, a very straight female trouser. So I'll cut that out. Okay, so you can see what we have. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut that out. So after cutting, so that's our first step. Okay guys, so you can see, so I've placed the front back on the back. So we're going to cut out the back now. So for the back, we're just going to add little, so you can see the back piece I have is 1 inch a little bit longer than my front piece. Okay, so I'm going to come to this part. I'm going to add half of an inch, that's like half of an inch to this point on this waist part, and then I'm just going to blend it into the hip part that is going to flow. Every other part, I'm just going to add that half of an inch. I'll add it all around. Okay, that's on that side, and then on this side I'll mark my crotch part like this. So I'm marking the crotch part, and then here on this crotch I'll add just 2 inches to it here, so you can see. So that 2 inches, here's what I'm going to do. That 2 inches, as I come like this, I'll mark 1.5 on that part, and then it's blending into the waistline. So I'm just trying to blend it on this part. Okay, So after blending it on this part, I'm going to just mark it straight like this. As I mark it straight, I'm going to reduce the measurement. It's not going to be that 2 inches, so I'll reduce it to about 1.5 inches. And then that 1.5 inches, I'll just keep going like that. And then as I get to the mid part, I'll reduce it to about 1 inch. And then I'll keep reducing it until I get to the down part. It's going to flow to about half of an inch. So you can go with the 2 inches, depends on how bogus you want the back part to be, okay? You can use just 1 inch of this thing that I just did. So I'll just flow that into this part. And then on the waist part, I came up by that 1.5 inch. I'm just going to float that 1.5 inch like this into the waist part like this. So you can see what we have. So half of an inch on that side, and then on this side 2 inches, and then as I go 1.5, and then 1 inch to the down part. Okay, so we're done with the trouser, so we're going to cut out now. Okay guys, so I finished cutting out the trouser. So the second step now is we're going to cut out our pocket, our flap, and our band. So for the pocket, so I've added that before I realized. So you can see what I did. So I just came in. So for the front piece, I just came in by 1 inch. I came in by 1 inch, and then the length that I'm using is about 7.5 inches. So I just trimmed it out just round. So that's how you cut out the pocket. And then for the fabric, so I cut out 2 pieces of fabric, just 2 pieces of fabric. The length of the 2 pieces of fabric is about 11 inches. Depends on what you want, how wide you want it to be. And then the wideness is about 7.5 inches. So this is the pocket that I'm going to be using. So I'll show you how to do that when we go to the stitching. So this on the second our second step, the remaining part that is remaining now is for us to cut out our band. So to cut out the waistband, so I have my fabric, so I folded it at an angle because I want it to not to be, I want to cut on a bias rather. So I'm going to come to this part like this. So I want to cut, I need, my waist measurement is actually 34. So I have about 38 here. So I'm going to leave it because I want my band to lap on top so I'll be able to add my buttons or whatever it is hook. Okay. So I'm going to come to this point now. I'm going to mark about 3 inches. So that 3 inches, I'm just going to keep marking it like that. I'll just mark it on all of the points like that until I get to the end. So it is not really entirely straight. If you notice what I'm doing, you can see it's not. So I'm going to cut this out now. So I finished cutting out the band. So still on our second step, I'm going to cut out the flap now. So to cut out the flap is a very simple process. So I'm trying to cut out a straight fabric. So I'll cut out a straight fabric using my zip measurement as guide. So I'll cut about 9 inches. So I'll still trim this. So this is going to be about 2.5 inches. You can use 2 inches, is okay. So the next, I'm going to fold this also. I'm going to cut out another fabric. So for this, it's going to be about 2 inches rather, or 1.5 inches on fold. Okay, so that's what I'll use. So I'll make it 2 inches. So it is going to be the same inch with this. That's the same length rather. And then I'll cut this out. So we'll go back. So this is our flap. So we'll go back to the machine now, which is stitching or the pocket and the zipper fly. So these are the next step. So we'll go back to the machine and go and do that. Okay guys, so welcome to our sewing table. So the third step now is our stitching process. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to stitch the pocket. So you can see this is the wrong side of my fabric. So this is the pocket that I added. So you can see the pocket, I made it open flat. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead, I'll stitch here like this, and then I'll trim it and then bring it back. So I'll do that now and then I'll show you how it looks like. So after stitching, so I've stitched it, so I'm just trying to trim it. So I'll cut it off like that, and then I'll take the piece like this. So I'll take this back to my ironing table and then I'll iron it, and then it's going to stay like this. So you see it on the right side. This is how it's going to look like. So I'll iron it down. So you can do a top stitch here if you want to, but most times I really don't like it. You can top stitch it from the inside. That's this. You can just secure it down. So I'll do that one. I'll top stitch it from the inside and then iron it and bring it. Okay, so after ironing, the next thing now is to join our pockets down. That's all. So you can decide to join it if you want to set it, just join it. But mine, I'm going to join it from the inside. So I'll turn it and then I'll join it and then flip it over and stitch it out. So I'll do that and then come back and show you. Okay guys, so after stitching, so here is how it looks like. So you can see, just secure it down, up and down. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go to the our fourth step now, which is stitching our zipper fly. So for the zipper fly, I want it to flip to the right hand side. So I'm going to take the left piece of my trouser. That's one part. So these are the fabrics that I cut out initially. So this is the one that we folded into two. So I just ran a stitch. So it's folded into two. Just ran a stitch here, and then this is the straight one. So I'm going to get my zip now, and then I'll explain something to you. So this is the zip that I have. It's a little bit long, but I don't want it to be as long as that. So this is what I'm going to be using. So I'm using this as a guide, so for my zip. So you need something that is a little bit longer than the zip, so it fits in properly. Okay, so now we're going to stitch. So I'm just going to mark here. So I'll take the straight flat piece. So this is the straight flat piece, and then I'm going to place it here. So I'm using my zip as guide. Okay, so because I don't want it to be that too long, so I'm going to stitch it here now, from here to this point. Okay guys, so I finished stitching my trouser. That's the pocket, and then here's how the inside looks like. So you just stitch it from the inside, so you can see the both of them now. So the next thing now, we're going to the fourth step, which is stitching our zipper fly. So I'm going to keep one piece on the side, and then we're going to work with this piece here. So here's the zip that I'm going to be making use of. Because I don't have a short zip, I'm going to use this zip as guide. So where I want my zip to get to, I'm going to put a mark there. Okay, so I put the mark there. So that's where my zip will get to. And then remember these two pieces that I cut out. So this is the one that we folded into two, the one of about 3.5 inches. So you fold it into two and just stitch the down part. And then this here is the flat straight one. So we're going to be working with the flat straight one. So I'll place the flat straight one like this from that point where I mark for my zip, and then I'm going to stitch it down. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch it straight like this. So after stitching, I'm going to take this back now. Here's how it looks like. And then I'm going to secure this down. So I'll use my iron. You can decide to add a top stitch and then you cut off the excess. It's actually not needed. Okay. So the next thing now, I'm going to take my zip. So like I said, so this zip I will reduce it. So I'll show you how to stitch the zip on it now. Okay, so when I open it up, so you can see how it looks like. So run a top stitch on top just to secure it. So I'm going to take my zip now. I'm turning the back of the zip, and then I'll place it here. I'll just come up a little bit, and then I'll place it here, and then I'm going to stitch it down like this. I'll turn it like this so you can see how it is looking. Okay, so the next thing, I'm going to secure this place down like this here, just to give it a fine defined look. Okay, so I can mark it however I want to mark it. Just give it a beautiful curve, and then I'll secure it down with a stitch like that. Okay, so after securing it down, so you can see how it looks like. So I've secured it down on the top, just like I explained. So the next thing, I'm going to take this other piece, and then I'm going to place it here. So I'm going to make sure, I'll check it from here, make sure it is covering it very neatly, so this the zip is not showing at all. And then I'm going to stitch it down. So I'm going to open this now, and let's check. So you can see the way the inside looks like. This is covered. Okay, so these edges, I'm going to trim them. So I'll get the other piece right now. So here's the other piece. So I'm trying to, so I'm going to fold. So I want to get, just put a notch here on this same exact spot like this. I'll put a notch, and then I'll just notch it a little bit inward, and then I'm going to fold it. So you can iron it down. So I'll just secure it right now. Okay guys, so I've secured it down. So you can decide to secure it down or not secure it down, any one you want. So now we're going to be doing the finishing now. So I'll take this like this, and then I'm going to place it here as close as possible. Remember that part that I notched? So this is what will close up our zipper fly, to close it up really neatly. So I'm going to secure it down now. So I'll repeat the process on this straight line. I'll just stitch it down like this, and then I'll come back and show you. I need to position properly. Okay guys, so you can see we are almost done. So you can see it looks fine, good, neat, and okay. See, you see this place is so neat. You just cut out your excess thread. So the next thing, we're going to finish up the crouch part. So remember this notch that we put. So this notch, uh, I'm going to stitch it down. I'm going to secure it down. So for this part, I will advise for you to serge it before you do this. That's, use your weaving machine to weave it before you do this. So after securing this down like this other one also, I'm going to secure it down like this. So I'll go do that and then iron it and show you how to place them on top. Okay guys, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch this down. So I've secured this down. I'm going to take this like this. I'll place it here. So I'll place it neatly on top of this point, and then from this zipper fly point, I'm going to stitch it. So this is already stitched, and then this is folded inside, and then I'll stitch it to the crouch part. Okay, so just make sure that your fabric is serged already, so it makes it neat. Make sure that your stitch is straight and neat. So you can see, you see how neat it is looking, right? You see our crouch area, you see, very neat. So the next thing now, we have done the fourth one. So the fifth and final phase of this tutorial is for us. So this zip, I don't want to cut it yet. I'll cut it later when I'm putting the band. So you can see. So you can see. So a little part truncated a little, but no problem. So I'm going to, the next and the final phase now is for us to join the side of our trouser together. So this is the back piece, which I have joined the crouch area. So I'm just going to take it like this, and then I'll place it here like this. And then I'll use my half inches to join my trouser. I'll join it down straight and then join the crouch area. So I'll do that, which is the final face, and then I'll show you how the trouser looks like. Okay. So I'm going to finish it up now, and then for the band, I'm not going to be showing the band. The video is already too long. How to fix the band in this video. So I'll place it on the mannequin for you to see the final look of the trouser with a zipper fly. Okay guys, so at the end of the day, you can see how our female trouser looks like with our zipper fly. So you can see it came out really fine. It is well covered, and then I've added my band. It looks good. So you can see the crouch, everything is okay. So you see the back. It came out really fine. So guys, so thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. And if you have not subscribed to my channel already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will see you guys in the next video.